Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So, we're gonna do it. We're gonna cover armor. We're gonna cover armor. This is gonna be a pain for me. Let's get into it. So, as far as armor and Mabinogi goes, there's certain stats you're looking for, right? Defense, protection, magic defense, magic protection, right? So, as you can see, this is gonna be a bit of a different video. So, we've got several different things that you're going to look for when it comes to the armor you're choosing. Okay? And so there's never going to be like one armor fits all. You're going to be using a lot of different armors for different situations, maybe different armors for different periods of time in the development of your character. So I'm going to start off with clothing options, move into light armor, and then into heavy armor. So you can check the link in the description for time codes as to like when those will be. You can skip right to them, right? I want to make this as easy for you guys as possible because I'm going to have to sit here the whole time and listen to myself talk. So let's make it just one of us that has to do that. Alright, so let's start out with clothing. So there's a couple of things that you want to start out looking for in clothing. First of all is fashion. This video is not about fashion, but if you're just going to wear clothing and you're just going to AFK into Barton, you want to look good, right? There's any number of outfits, and it's up to taste. I'm not going to cover them. Okay? The second thing you would consider, aside from fashion, is going to be the stats on the clothing itself, right? So there's very few clothing options that actually have really good stats. And one of the few that does is Adoniswear. Adoniswear has 3 defense, 3 protection right off the bat. You don't need to upgrade it to get anything out of it. You can usually buy these on the auction house that are already rank 1. So this is a good option for just regular clothing if you're not interested in using armor for some reason. But there's no like clothing mastery. You're not going to get any bonuses off of this. There are some enchants that are only for clothing. We'll cover that in a separate video because it's going to take way too long. But there's some enchants that are only for clothing, which would benefit you. And there's some other reasons you would only use clothing, but if you're just looking for just regular clothing for some reason that has decent stats, Adoniswear is where it's at. If you're looking into being a mage, there's a few different sets that have set effects that will benefit you in the long run. Now, I don't use these, so I don't have like great stats on them, but for mana reduction, you have Karis Wizard Suit. This one again has defense 3, protection 3, but it's not going to come with the reforge line like Adoniswear often does. And you can get this as a dungeon drop, I believe. I forget where, but that's something you can look up. I'll have a link in the description to the Mabinogi Wikipedia where you can get more of this information. I'm just going to kind of name drop these for you so you know what to look for. The other one is going to be Trinity Wear. This one's pretty popular. You can get both mana reduction and healing enhancement on this. So Trinity Wear is pretty good, but it doesn't have the same stats as Kari's. So that's something else you can look for as a mage. As an alchemist, you're going to have basically 2 options as well. There's a third option for mage that you can use. I don't have it, but it's a magic school uniform. This is one you can use. It also has explosion defense and mana usage reduction. So that's the other option for you, is magic school uniform, Kari's, and Trinity Wear. So if you're going to be an alchemist, there's 2 options for you, and depending on what type of alchemy you're going to be interested in, one is clearly going to be better than the other. So if you're looking to only be a fire alchemist, then there's not much better than getting a Flame Rider outfit. So Flame Rider outfit has the Flame Burst Enhancement 6 effect, and you need to get a set effect to 10 before it even takes effect at all. So just having the 6 isn't going to be enough. But with Flame Rider boots that give 4, then this is like a all-inclusive set for fire alchemy bonus that only takes the outfit and the boot slot, right? So that's something to look into if you're an alchemist. The other one is going to be Crested Aware. Crested Aware is a little more rare than the Flame Rider outfit. It's a little harder to obtain, but it is something you get from one of the elite shadow missions, and you can see from mine that oh boy, there's the set effects on this has Flame Burst enhancement, Water Cannon enhancement, and Life Drain enhancement, and all of these are really good enhancements to have. Yeah, so if you're looking to do water alchemy, you're definitely gonna want the Crested Aware instead of the Flame Rider outfit. The downside to this is that you're gonna need the boots and the gloves to make the full set effect work, because you can only get up to 4 on each piece individually. So if you have 4 water cannon on your wear and 4 water cannon on your boots, you're still gonna need the gloves with a 3 to be able to get the 10, or at least a 2. At least a 2. You need 4-4-2 or 3-3-4 to get the set effects from the Crested Aware. So you're going to need all 3 pieces, so it takes an extra inventory slot. Something to look into. Alright, so going away from alchemy, I guess we'll cover archery for a second here. Bohemian where it's at. You can get both support shot, and mine doesn't have it, but you can also get magnum shot enhancement on the Bohemian wear. So the Bohemian wear is going to be very important for archery, especially the later into the game that you get. You're going to want that magnum shot enhancement. It actually increases your damage quite a bit. I believe it's 15%. So just having a 15% increase by having the Bohemian set is really important for archers. And that's one of the reasons you'd look for just regular clothing instead of light armor or heavy armor. Some utility usages of clothing. You can get transport speed on them for commerce, so that's something to look into. And then you also have set effects like the patron wear that increase your refining and blacksmithing. So that's important for crafters, not so much for anybody else. It's not important for combat, really, but it's something to look into. And then there's the options to help you when you're training skills. You can get Jackal and Raccoon Cub, and these are for magic clothing only, which is Fleta Repair, I believe. But basically, you can get the Raccoon Cub Wizard Suit for men, I believe it's a dungeon drop, as well as the Jackal Selena traditional coat. Both of these are very good options for the enchants. It makes your CP decrease by quite a bit, so you can use these to help train some of those CP requirements for your skills. So say you still have to train Windmill and you need to hit so many powerful enemies, well, equipping this will decrease your combat power, so that things that would normally be weak to you might be strong to you again, so that you can use your skill on weaker enemies without decreasing your power level. So that's something to look into, is CP gear. That's what that's referred to as. You can get this in basically every slot that you have, including you can get it on like a gathering knife and use that as the weapon for training the skill if it allows it. So there's a lot of options as far as CP gear, but I want you guys to be aware that you can do this. So that's it for clothing. As far as what I'm aware of, there's some other options that I didn't cover. There's one for Mage. It's a little bit expensive. A lot bit expensive. Lord of the Seas. It increases your lightning rod, which is kind of important for mages. You can definitely use this, and it also increases your combat XP, so that's something that you can take note of. Alright, moving on to light armor. Something to start out with is just like a basic armor, you know. You get like Altim's armor, Lunar Dragon armor. There's a bunch of different ones that all have basically the same stats. The next one up from that is going to be Tara Infantry armor. Tara Infantry armor has some good base stats, and then it can be upgraded from there. And yeah, it's just pretty good for light armor. no complaints there. Something else you can get is the Northern Lights armor. You get this from completing all the potential. It's one of the potential rewards. Northern Lights armor set. So you get that once you have 3,000 into this. So that's something that everybody has access to. And it has decent stats as far as light armor goes. And then moving on from there, you have like Talvish's armor. That's another one you could get. It has slightly higher protection starting out, but Tara infantry armor is a pretty good, just all around. Like, it's fairly cheap on the auction house. A lot of them come with rank 1 reforging already. Some of them have enchants on them already. Like, it's just a pretty good for what it is. And then there's like the big guns. So these are like the ones that you're going to be using for the longest period of time. They're going to be the ones you invest the most into getting, and therefore more toward endgame players and people who have ways of making gold so that they can save up for these. Okay, so we're looking at like, and where's Chaser armor? First of all, it has an attack speed set effect, so if you get all the pieces, you can get that attack speed. Something else to take a look at is Chinese Dragon armor. It also has an attack speed set, so that's something else you can look at for that effect. And then moving up from Langu armor is going to be Geas. So Geas armor, there's two different variations. There's Geas Devastation armor and Geas Edge armor. The Geas Edge is a heavy armor, while the Geas Devastation is light armor. And the reason that people usually go for the Geas Devastation instead of the Geas Edge is because of the redoubled offensive activation boost. And once you have this, the next step up is going to be the ultimate Geas Devastation armor. It's kind of expensive to make both of these, so that's going to be for much later in the game. You need to be able to run tech missions, or have a bunch of friends that are willing to like basically carry you through it in order to get the mats for these. And then once you have the materials, you can craft them, but they're going to be pricey. So moving on from the Geas armors, there's the pay-to-win options. I say this, but they're not really available right now, but you can still find them on the auction house. But these are like gacha only. They don't have any upgrades to them or anything like that, so what you see is what you get. There's going to be the Forest Ranger muffler outfit and the Forest Ranger outfit, and then there's the special variation of the Forest Ranger outfit. The special version of the Forest Ranger outfit has a max damage set effect. And there's another set effect I'm forgetting, but it has two different set effects. And the first one, the max damage one, increases your max damage by approximately 8 from the testing that some Redditors did. So that's something to look for. And then the Saint Guardians set, that one gives attack speed just by itself, so you don't need to dedicate other slots to it. And then there's absorption. Now if you have 10 points of absorption, it has a chance, a low chance, but a chance to reduce all damage taken to 1. So say I get nuked by something that would otherwise one-shot me, I'll just take 1 damage. I mean, there's a very good chance that it one-shots me, but there's also a chance that it does 1 damage. So you can see how that's pretty useful when it comes to fighting boss enemies or harder dungeons and stuff like that. I find that the set effect triggers, like absorption triggers about 10% of the time, so about 1 out of 10 hits, give or take. I think over extended testing it's a little bit less than 10%, but it seems to be around about that, where you would take 1 damage instead of taking the actual damage that you would normally take. So moving on from there, there's going to be heavy armors, which admittedly I know very little about, like extremely little. So there's going to be like basic armor. that you can craft or buy from the NPC shop. It's gonna have like 6-2, so 6 defense, 2 protection, and if you craft it, you can get some higher rolls on it. Like I have 6 and 3 protection on this. I crafted it myself, as I was ranking blacksmithing. Going from there, you have some other options. For elves specifically, there's very few heavy armors that you can wear. One of them being the Royal Prince armor. So you can use Royal Prince armor as an elf if you need heavy armor for anything. A few different higher end heavy armors. There's going to be the Baffle Slayer armor, which is the heavy armor version of the Langwaris armor. This one's going to have Assault Slash enhancement. I don't know too much about it, but you can see the stats there. It's pretty... It's like one of the better armors as far as like just raw stats goes. And once you get it upgraded, it's going to have a lot of stats. So aside from that, you can also go for the Tame's plate armor that has a smash enhancement, which is really important for close combat users. So that's something to keep an eye out for. As far as heavy armor goes, it's standard across the board, like the 6-2 rolls, with upgrades it gets much higher than that. And then you have Dark Knight armor that has insane base stats and can be upgraded. You can find this on an auction house already enchanted with reforges. So this is going to be very good for giants, for humans, if that's what you're looking for. You can usually find this. And then you also have the Crossline plate armor that has two different set effects. It has stomp defense and poison immunity. So if you're looking to do stuff where there's a lot of like golems, or there's a lot of like poison enemies that will inflict you with poison, this is one of the options that you might consider. There's a lot of other options for heavy armor that I haven't covered. Like there's a Valiance armor set, I think, that giants have access to. Colossal Valiance. This thing. And this one has a set effect of absorption, and it's relatively easy to craft. It doesn't take a whole lot. Like, these materials are not rare materials. You can get these pretty easily. So that's one that you should definitely look out for if you're a giant. Just get in fact, this one will last you all the way to endgame. Like, just get the Colossal Valiance set and just go from there. Like, you don't even need to like sweat it too much. Like, look at the base stats on this. Like, this is better than a lot of stuff aside from like Geas armors. There's a few other things that you can look for. There's the improved armors, like improved Altam, improved Avalon, and all that. They're kind of expensive to make, but they have Judgment Blade enhancement. That's something to look out for. Oh, for mages, there's also the Hibona set. So you can have both the Hibona set and like Trinity Wear or whatever. It would work pretty well for you as a mage. There's no real like progression points that I can point out. It's like generally you start out with store-bought whatever, and then you'll get the Northern Light armor set, and from that whole thing, and then from there you're gonna branch out and get what's best for whatever it is you're looking to get into. So if you're looking to do chains or fighter, if you're a giant, you can use heavy armor, but if you're a human or an elf, using heavy armor has a downside because it decreases your dex by a lot. So you might want to look for light armors, or you might want to look for clothing options. For chain skills, there's there's an outfit that's got an effect for Dorsha consumption or something like that. I don't know too much about it. I just know it exists, and it's good for chains. I'll be covering enchantments in a different video, if you guys want to check that out. And that will be coming up in the next day or so. I'm going to have to do some serious research because there's 3 different... Because you got clothing, light armor, and heavy armor. And I've got to do some research into heavy armors to find out exactly what's good for that. But hopefully this has been informative, kind of gives you something to point toward, somewhere to go, and look for the correct armor for you. I use several different armors, but I use equipment tabs, which not everybody uses. And that's so I can get the appropriate set effects for the different armors that I'm using. Like, I want Encore for my Bard skills, so I have to have clothing on that. But for Archery, I wish I had the Bohemian set effect, but I don't. Where did my Archer set go? Oh, I just had this here as a placeholder. And sometimes it matters, like, what reforges you have. Sometimes just having a good reforge is better than having a good armor. But yeah, hopefully that's been informative and you enjoyed the video. Have a good one, guys.